Good evening. Good evening. Hello to those of you joining us live. Otherwise, thank you so much for catching up with us later on your preferred podcast platform. Just make sure that you are following, liking us, all of that good stuff, whatever way you are consuming this content. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here with us on the Morganino Podcasting Network. My name is Rod Morgan. Hello. Executive producer / co-host Jimmy Jamriska is here. Jimmy, good evening.
Hello, Rod. This football thing is fun. Let's keep watching it.
Yep, football can definitely be fun. A man who also thinks football is fun because his Indiana Hoosiers continue to roll by their fingertips. Chris King. Chris, hello.
And it is every part of Indiana Hoosiers. This is men's and women's basketball, not to mention the number 2 ranked Indiana Hoosiers football team.
There we go. Another man who I know is excited about that is joining us, our football handicapper, Josh Williams. Josh, hello.
What's up, boys? Went 1-1 against the spread again last week. Hit on the Giants plus 4.5, but then lost on the Ravens minus 2.5 in the first half. Of course, they covered for the whole game. Jimmy is going to tell me, you dummy, just bet on the whole games. Don't do first halves. And I had that game in between. It was between that one or I was going to pick the Dolphins plus 9.5 against the Bills. And obviously I picked wrong there. So, 1-1. Let's go. Let's try to get back on track here.
Cold open question of the week goes to Chris King. Chris, when was the last time or how often do you house a PB&J? Peanut butter and jelly. When was the last time you ate one? How often are you eating one? What are you talking here?
I have at minimum 1 a week, probably closer to 2 or 3.
1 to 2 a week. Okay. All right. Are we crunchy? Are we creamy? Which way are we going?
Nope. It is the Kroger brand honey roasted creamy peanut butter, and I prefer a seedless blackberry jam.
Good Lord, seedless blackberry. Okay, now you're getting all artisanal on me. No free ads to Kroger there. Jimmy Jam, question to you. When was the last time you housed the PB&J, your frequency of the peanut butter and jelly?
I don't think I've ever had a PB&J sandwich, Rod. I'm not a big J fan there, but I will tell you.
That's got to be a lie.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Calling shenanigans.
I really don't like jelly. I'm sorry, Chris. It's not a thing that I've ever eaten. Probably the viscosity. Yeah, I think that's a great word. I am a big peanut butter guy, though. I eat peanut butter sandwiches a lot. Peanut butter on toast, that's perfectly fine. No problem. I have that probably a couple times a week.
You're not doing honey? You're not like throwing honey in with it? Not like peanut butter and honey? You've not like tried
the
honey
secondary... messes with me. Honey messes with me. Don't like honey.
This is wild stuff. I never in a million years thought we'd reveal the Jimmy Jamriska. So like no toast, no jelly and toast, no jam and toast?
No, I'm not a big jam guy. No.
What about on your biscuits? Like a little bit of jam on your buttermilk biscuit?
I can put a little bit on the biscuit every now and then. I'm a butter guy though, usually.
This is insanity. Williams, you're like a workout.
Chris is so angry he muted himself. Chris is swearing right now.
Williams, you're like a workout guy. Like you got to be housing PB&Js every now and again, right? Like we're like frequent on those for you, probably, right?
No, I thought I was going to be the most contrarian take here. I probably haven't had one in like over 10 years, but I'll throw this out. Have you guys ever tried a fried peanut butter and jelly?
Yes, they are phenomenal. They are phenomenal.
Of course.
Phenomenal.
It's been probably a year since I've had one of them.
I'm opposite of Jimmy. I would rather have the jelly than the peanut butter. I'm a bigger jelly fan.
Love me some peanut butter. Love me some peanut butter.
This is wild. Okay, see, I'm a huge peanut butter and jelly guy. I, like Williams he says he hasn't had one in 10 years. I probably had a gap, right, where I let it go. And then I came back and I was like, you know what? These things are absolutely phenomenal. Chris, I don't know what you're talking about. Seedless blackberry. It's strawberry, okay? It's got to be strawberry. Get out of here with your grape. Absolutely out of here with your grape. It's got to be strawberry. And here's the other mistake I think people are making with their peanut butter and jellies, all right? Don't give me peanut butter on one slice of bread and then jelly on the other slice of bread and bring them together. No, absolutely not. You put your peanut butter down on one slice of bread and then you put your jam on top of the peanut butter and you spread it on top that way. And here's why you do this. It controls the excess drippage from the peanut butter and jelly. If you just bring them together all willy-nilly, you're going to have jelly dripping out the sides when you're trying to take your bite. And that's the last thing you want with the peanut butter and jelly. Because here's the other thing about it. You're not sitting down at a table and eating a peanut butter and jelly. It's basically designed to be a mobile sandwich. So you don't want that jelly dripping out the sides. So the key, Chris, is put the peanut butter down, jelly on top, and then put a bare piece of bread on top, and that locks it in. Did I just blow your mind?
No, I disagree with you completely. And Jimmy doesn't get to say anything here. He put himself out of this conversation by saying he doesn't even eat them.
So wait. So in the hierarchy of Jimmy's opinions that don't matter, music taste is number 1. Number 2, peanut butter and jelly?
Oh, no, peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly.
Because I've listened to music before, so at least, okay, so I am not the worst at that. All right, okay.
Yeah. No, I think you're just... That all depends on the amount of jelly versus peanut butter, right? If you are making a sandwich with jelly's dripping out of the sides, you're not putting the correct amount of jelly on there. You're adding way too much. You got to get back into better practice. And then you can just put that jelly on the one side and you don't have to worry about it dripping because you know what you're doing.
Listen, I'll thank you, kind sir, for keeping your nose out of my jelly business, all right? How much jelly I decide to use in my peanut butter and jelly is only my decision. I do not appreciate you sitting down there in Bloomington and judging me, saying I'm using too much jelly, all right? I don't have too much jelly, sir. I have just the right amount of jelly, and I am angry about that take from you. Jimmy, once again, I'm blown away by this. Like, do your kids eat peanut butter and jelly? Like, were they, like, surprised when you said, hey, kids, eat a peanut butter jelly, but I've never had one?
The kids Jackson definitely likes them. I think because he's had some before,
of course,
too.
Jackson
They're not
likes
really
them. Shout out to Jackson Jameis. Yeah. We need some Jackson Jameis football takes before the season's over.
Oh, he's got some, let me tell you.
All right, speaking of football takes, let's move on to normal business here. Chris, the Colts played early. Right? They had a stage all to themselves in Germany. German fans were fired up. German beer was being poured. Pretzels were being eaten, and Jonathan Taylor was running. Jonathan Taylor was running in that game. What did Chris?
It was a phenomenal performance by him. It gives him, he got the shout out for Leatherhead this week just for this performance, right? Maybe not quite single-handedly because of the offensive line, but like that run game is really what won us the game, especially. So yeah, it was perfect to have that type of game in front of a German crowd. And it was the first regular season game in Germany, so it actually meant something. And thankfully, the NFL put on a hell of a show and the Colts came out on top. It was a great game to watch. And I know you're a little bit bittersweet about it because it essentially destroyed your chances in fantasy, but great game.
Listen, there's actually a better story about fantasy that I can relay, but everybody has fantasy horror stories. Jimmy, Jonathan Taylor's pretty bummed out that he's not a Leatherhead, but I think you have a consolation prize for him, don't you?
He's definitely the face of the week. 32 attempts, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did an amazing job throughout, kept the Colts in it. We thought the Colts were out so many times. What a game. It was a little behind the scenes here. I was worried for Chris King, worried for his health. During this weekend, every single one of his teams that he cared about came down to the wire. And Chris, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, the only thing that saved me was IU basketball. All right, on Sunday they handled business, but everything else, my heart was pretty weak by Sunday afternoon.
Your Cowboys were off as well. That probably helped things a little bit too. You didn't have to worry about your Cowboys doing anything that last week.
I don't expect them to win much, so I don't think they would have bothered me that bad.
All right, Williams, I'm going to come to you on this with the Germany game there. Are the Falcons kind of like sneaky good, or like the Colts have some problems? Like what's going on here? Why were we like in this game with the Falcons and, you know, like we had the bad game versus Pittsburgh? Like what's going on here? Danny Dimes is, you know, I'm not over him yet, but like he's kind of seemed a little more Danny Dimes-ish the last 2 weeks than he seemed like the guy he was the first 7 weeks. Should we be worried as Colts fans? What do you think is the handicapper here?
Yeah, I mean, those international games are so tough to make sense of sometimes. I know when Diablo was out for the Falcons, he's their best run stopper. I had a feeling JT was gonna was going to go berserk. And side note, I'm in a high stakes fantasy league. One of the few teams that survived the Jonathan Taylor barrage because we played against him actually won. So yes,
little humble brag.
Yes.
No, see, wait a minute. Hold on then. So, Williams, you open the door. Hold on then. See, it was cool. I had a chance, Williams, to be one of those people that was going to take down Jonathan Taylor as well, okay? I went all the way up to Monday night, chipping away at this guy's lead. Josh Jacobs scores a touchdown with like 2 minutes or whatever it was. I go up by 2.5 points. Minute left in the game, Josh Jacobs fumbles, Rod loses by 0.5. All right, so I was about to take down Jonathan Taylor myself. Fantasy horror story.
That's brutal. Absolutely. Whenever you lose by half a point on Monday Night Football, it just ruins your week the next week. But yeah, Danny Dimes
was the number one team in the league, had a chance to run away with the 1 seed. It's just brutal, Williams. Thank you for bringing it up. I don't even want to finish the show now.
And with that, sorry.
No, Dimes had a few problems, but one of the few things that Atlanta does well is they actually create pressure now. They hadn't done that in about 7 years, and they finally used 2 first-round draft picks on that. So that has helped them in that situation. And the Colts need to play from ahead. I mean, that's you're going to get peak Colts A game if they're playing from ahead, and they got behind there in a little bit. Man, shout out to the Colts though, man. What'd you guys think of the ref messing up the coin toss for the overtime, and then they come back from commercial like, oh wait, no, the Colts actually have to kick off. I was like, oh my God, these guys got to be losing their minds right now. But man, props to the Colts. They held them, and they got the ball back, and they go down. They don't even settle for a field goal. That's how you finish things. You end it with the touchdown. We know how crazy field goals have been, more so in college, but in NFL this year early on, that field goals were no easy kicks. So,
well, he missed a few. He missed 2, didn't he?
Well, we learned our lesson against Denver because we settled for Denver and almost missed that kick and lost the game.
Yeah. So, whenever you get out of London or Germany or Spain with a victory, it's a good thing. Get back to the States, and now the Colts can rest up here. They got to bye and be prepared for the stretch run here.
James Thomas, one last Colts question to you. Chris said it there. Shouted out the offensive line. They were great in the running game. Williams said it there. Offensive line's been a little troubling against the passing game last couple of weeks. Danny Dimes was getting hounded by the Steelers. Danny Dimes was getting hounded by the Falcons. What am I to take from that?
Well, I think you have to look at Jonathan Taylor, who's doing all this great running, and say, hey, can you help block a little bit too when you're back there? We need to have some people back there giving Danny Dimes a little bit more time. Also, Tyler Warren, get those quick outs to him so he can break it.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think I let you have the right answer there, Jimmy Jam. Like, we got to give Jonathan Taylor all the flowers for the running game, but there's some missed assignments and some poor attempts at trying to pick guys up by JT. He needs to get a little bit better there. Danny Dimes got bloodied, for goodness sakes. Now, I understand that's because he ran into the bench, but it was still a great visual there. Danny Dimes just got blood running from his mouth, getting underneath the huddle, ready to take another snap. Let's go. I'm completely on the bandwagon now, Chris. You can't do anything about it. I've always been a Colts fan. But my other team that I'm a fan of, that Chris tried to make me not a Colts fan anymore.
The blasphemy that keeps coming out of your mouth makes me just enraged.
It's just truth. You can't hear truth. That's what the problem is with you. Jimmy Jam, you got the Bears hat on. It was a pretty interesting Bears game. It turned out to be the final game for somebody. What do you got to say about that Bears game, Jimmy?
Well, I do want to say that Brian Daboll is the heel of the week. You have a chance to do a 4th and a half a yard to get a touchdown to really put the game away, and decides to keep the field goal. Even before that, it was 4th and 1 to keep the field goal. Greg Olsen did such a good job of explaining, you're giving up 20 yards for 3 or 30 yards for 3 points in that situation. Shouldn't have happened. Although, Rod, apparently Caleb Williams has ice cubes going through his veins, which hurts a lot, I believe, but he just is amazing at the end of games, and he brought him back again. For someone who is a horrible quarterback and can't do anything good, he's done a pretty good job in only his 2nd year.
Ooh, I think Jimmy's got a comment on how tough it is to be the Chicago Bears quarterback right there, and I think he's on to something. I think Caleb Williams probably couldn't do almost anything other than be perfect and not catch some sort of flack. People don't talk enough about this, Chris. He's got ice cubes in his veins, and he's an NFL player. This is absolutely amazing.
Listen, I am happy that he is successful because let's be honest, the dude has taken a lot of flack. There's been some stories that happened in the off season that was probably not very flattering to his work ethic and his study habits especially. So I hope that has changed, and it seems to, I mean, the Bears do have a winning record as much as I try to jinx them every week. But, hey, more power to them. I do think that I don't think they're quite there yet. That offense isn't consistent, right? Do you want to be like the Denver Broncos, only unluckier? Because that's about where you're at. Or Minnesota even. Are you waiting until the fourth quarter every time? I get nervous.
Just a lot of just great random shots from Chris in there. More power to you. Like just the sarcasm dripping off of that when Chris dropped that in there, just comparing him to the Broncos. Just a random shot at the Broncos and the Bears at the same time. Just great podcasting out of Chris right there. Williams, I'm going to go to you on this.
It's the second most ridiculous thing I've heard on this show.
Second most. Thank you, Jimmy Jam. I appreciate that. Williams.
Go ahead, Williams.
We do not apologize for victories. That's all I'm going to say. And to you.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears have been roller coasters this year. Man, what a game that was. I got to ask you guys a question. Do the Bears win that game if Jackson Dart does not get injured?
I think they can. I don't think it's an automatic no. I know Russell Wilson was horrendous, but I don't think it's an automatic no. Listen, the Bears were in that game the whole time. They just weren't executing when they needed to. And then they did when it mattered.
So refresh my memory. How many drives would famous Jameis have gotten had they went to him instead of Russ? How many drives would have Jameis gotten?
Oh, they would have lost if Russ was the QB. Bears would have lost for sure. Or if Jameis was the QB.
Yeah, I think so too. But that's what I mean. Like if there was 7 possessions, right? Jameis would have thrown 2 picks in there that the Bears might have scored on. You know what I mean? So like it would have like the fulcrum.
But he also would have thrown 5 touchdowns. So
no, that's what I mean. The touchdowns are a given. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like if he's got 7 drives, I'm looking at 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You know what I mean? And then like a punt, and then like a fumble or something probably in there is like you know what I mean? Like it's always interesting with Jameis. Shout out to my boy getting a start this week. Let's go. I don't have much else to say about the Bears though. Let's just hope they keep rolling.
Nope.
The Colts are off this week. The Cowboys were off last week. They're back this week. Chris, what do you think about your Cowboys come back this week? Who do they got?
They got the Raiders Monday night, so we have a chance. Raiders are not that great, but hey, the Raiders aren't that great, but listen, anything can happen this year in the NFL because we just watched the Bills lose bad to the Dolphins. We've watched the Saints and the Jets win, like, weirdly. Like, the Jets scoring 27 on the Browns. No one thought that was possible. So, like, it's a weird season in the NFL, so anything could happen.
You know who thought it was possible? Jimmy thought it was possible because he never stopped believing in Justin Fields. So I think that you didn't give Jimmy enough credit there for that. You did bring up that your Cowboys are playing on Monday night. Williams, I know you've got something to say about both coaches from Monday night when it comes to Are You Serious?
Man, yeah, the last Monday night game here, Packers, Eagles, all week we heard the reports from practice were that Brandon McManus was fine. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but Matt LaFleur with his kicking decisions, I just do not understand. All week we heard that Brandon McManus was fine. If he wasn't fine, then you activate the substitute teacher who, by the way, has kicked a 61-yard field goal that will come into play later on here. Fourth and 9 here for Philly for Green Bay at the Philly 41. They're down by 3. LaFleur decides to go for it. He's down by 3, so you pass up a 58-yard field goal there. I repeat, the substitute teacher hit a 61-yard field goal. He is not activated. Matt LaFleur, again, you pass up a 57-yard field goal to tie the game in the 4th. By the way, it was 3rd and 11 there. Just try to pick up a few yards, make it more manageable. Nope. 4th and 11, we'll punt it. Philly goes down and scores a touchdown in 2 minutes. So now they're down 10-0. But then Green Bay ends up scoring a touchdown for that. Then Nick Sirianni says, hold my beer on a 4th and 6 from the Green Bay 35 with under 40 seconds left. He decides to go for it. What? Just pooch it there, pin Green Bay down inside the 10 with about 30 seconds left. What are you doing? If you go for it on 4th down and miss, you're giving the Packers an extra 25 yards there. And then, of course, the Pack end up having to try a 64-yard field goal to try and win it. He only misses wide by about 50 feet. So just a kicking fiasco by both coaches there to kick or not to kick. And and this was like a preamble of what we talked about last week with LaFleur and his history of kicking decisions. Like, I don't understand it, dude. I do not understand LaFleur's kicking decisions. I don't get it. Are you serious, Matt LaFleur?
Are you serious, Matt LaFleur? Derek, Cowboy, we love you. We still want you to come on and talk some NBA with us soon, but we continue to have questions about your Packers. And I will remind you, Derek, you didn't have much to say to us the week that your Packers lost to the Panthers. All right, so let's just be consistent. If you're going to come at us and tell us that the Packers are the greatest thing in the world, we need to hear the same thing out of you the weeks that they lose. Love you, Cowboy. Chris, you love yourself some dudes who should have played with leather helmets. Who makes the Leatherheads team this week? You told us who almost did. Who gets the honor?
There's really only one guy, and to be honest, this guy may get Leatherhead of the Year for this. All right, and I'll give you a little bit of backstory. This guy is not unfamiliar to having to do things like this. Last year, he played a full game with a torn ACL. All right, full game, torn ACL, didn't care. But let me tell you about Alex Singleton that happened this year. Just started this a couple weeks ago. He got picked for a random drug test by the NFL. It got flagged for some abnormalities. He goes, gets tested. He finds out last week on a Monday that these abnormalities led to testicular cancer. He didn't tell anybody. He went back to work. He practiced the next 2 days so he could not just play, but play against a divisional rival, the Raiders, on Thursday night and make sure that he helped his team win, which they did. And he went right back to surgery Friday morning so they could have the tumor removed. And by all accounts, it's successful. That dude is my Leatherhead of the week. Alex Singleton, Denver Broncos.
There we go.
Look at you, Chris. That's awesome.
Good shout out there, Chris. Love that as a use of the Leatherheads. Williams, I'm going to throw a curveball at you before we get into your against the spread picks. What do you think about this decision that the NFL dropped on us a little bit before we started recording here today on prop bets that they're going to outlaw vis-a-vis injuries and stuff in line of trying to clear things up? I think it's a pretty good decision. How many other leagues do you think are going to follow suit?
Yeah, man, I've always said that they should have a limit on the unders. Like, these sports books are just getting ridiculously greedy. If you want to go 500, if you want to go 1,000, if you want to go 2,000, place those limits on the unders. And then if you want to bet 100,000 on somebody's going over, then fine. You can't rig the overs, but the unders you can definitely rig. And the same thing with baseball with this ridiculous, I'm going to throw a ball the first pitch. I mean, who in their right mind? And they're only doing this for VIP losing customers. Like, this is a rant here against sports books. Everyone was saying, "Oh, a poor sports book. They just got taken for 250,000." Well, if you weren't so damn greedy, you wouldn't have taken that bet in the first place. So yes, you're right. The NFL needs to do this. The NBA obviously needs to do this with Porter and all these unders. I mean, why are we taking unders on the 12th guy on the bench of the Raptors or whatever? So, and then the first pitch in baseball is absolutely ridiculous. And that absolutely cost Class A in Cleveland. I mean, this dude was an all-star. Like, he was up for the Cy Young 2 years ago, and he's making millions of dollars, and he's throwing these pitches 10 feet off the plate to help his buddy win a couple $1,000s. It's crazy what is going on here. So yes, let's put a limit on the unders. And then if sportsbooks, if you can't get enough bets on that, boo-hoo, then put up some other props. I mean, the greed with the sports books is absolutely ridiculous here. So yes, props to them for putting limits on there.
Yeah, Williams, I think that's a real good idea to do that, because especially like these missing field goals and all that, anybody can work on that, but the overs is going to be tough. Now, you may then see, well, if it's an over on a running back, you go to the offensive line guys and you talk to them and say, hey, make sure the DN gets by you quicker so that it doesn't hit the over. I don't know.
I heard something the other day, Jimmy Jam, that I thought it really opened my eyes a little bit about this, right? Like, it seems really, really bad right now. All these different stories that are coming out, everybody's getting their jokes off. It's rigged, yada, 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 all of the above, right? But like, all of this stuff was probably happening before, and we didn't know about it, right? So now what we're dealing with, right, is that we're finally, the first time all this stuff is out in the light, and we're trying to figure out a way to regulate it, get a hold of it, and figure out the kind of penalties and the kind of adjustments we need to make it harder for these bad perpetrators. Because bad perpetrators are always going to exist, right? No matter what rules the sports book lay down, people are going to try to figure out ways to circumvent them. But as Williams stated, some of these things are just getting a little bit out of control. Chris, I'll give you the final word on this before we move on to our picks for the week.
Yeah, no, there's definitely an epidemic coming about, right? And I recently heard of another app coming out of California that is like a prop betting app mixed with TikTok, a combo, and it's actually going to be technically legally allowed to be used in 46 of the 50 states because they're getting around the betting loophole by calling themselves a sweepstakes. So it was essentially like a roulette. I'm not sure how it works, but I think it's could get even worse before it gets better.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, that's the way these things go. But as we've seen, we're starting to get people involved. We're starting to get guys in trouble for it. We're starting to get bans. We're starting to get penalties that are in the books. It'll be laid down. You're going to make stupid decisions. You're going to stay employed. That's where it's going to come down to. So, but let's move off of that stuff. I just thought it was pretty interesting. We talk about the odds throughout this whole show. I figured it needed mention. And speaking of the odds against the spread picks, Williams, who do you got for us this week? We're trying to go for another 2-0 after a 1-1 week last week.
Yeah, so I know you asked me a question about being a Bears fan earlier, and I am psyched, but now I have to put on my handicapping cap, and I'm going against the Bears for the second week in a row. Give me the Vikings -2.5, -115 on multiple sites. Jimmy is disgusted, I know. Well, we said it last week. Bears benefiting off a now +14 turnover differential. And these stats here pain me to say this, but they've fumbled 8 times. They've only lost 2 of them. Meanwhile, opponents have fumbled 9 times. They've lost 7 of them. And when you remove turnovers, the Bears D, especially without Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, are 30th in EPA, if you can believe that. Bears are first in dropback EPA on defense. And if you remove turnovers on early downs, they are dead last in EPA on early downs, which is a more predictive stat. So that's very concerning when you are last in something, when you got the Bengals and the Cowboys defense out there. That is very concerning. Their strength of victory is dead last in the league. Just taking shots at Chris's Cowboys. Their strength of victory is dead last in the league. Their wins, the Raiders, the Bengals without Burrow, the Cowboys, the Commanders, and that broken team this year, the Giants. Dart leaves the game with a concussion, and then the Saints with the Rattler. Those are their wins. So meanwhile, the Vikings, the past 5-game stretch, they've played the Chargers, the Packers, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Ravens. That's about as tough a stretch as you can get there with the Vikings. And the Vikings do lead the league in getting pressure without blitzing. Caleb has had a tendency to struggle versus pressure without the blitz. And the Vikes rush D is on an upswing the last 2 weeks with the healthy return of Cashman and Van Ginkel. They only allow 3.3 yards per carry in Detroit versus the Lions. And then last week, they held the Ravens to 4.2 yards per carry on 36 carries. We know the Ravens have a lot of chances for explosive runs late in games, and the Vikings really shut that down. I know they lost that game, but I just do not like this spot for the Bears coming off an emotional come from behind win. The Vikings losing to the Ravens and the Vikings getting healthy on D. Yeah, I do not like the spot here for the Bears.
Jimmy, this is nonsense. The Bears shouldn't be all that muddled by coming from behind in a victory. They've done that numerous times this year and then won again before. What's Williams talking about here?
Well, I love how people say, hey, if you take away all the turnovers, they're not as good. Well, you know what? If you take away all the running yards that the Bears have given up, they've given up 0 running yards, okay? So it's ridiculous. Brian Flores is a terrific defensive coordinator, okay? He will get another shot as a head coach, and I wish him well on that, but he's a terrific defensive coordinator, kind of like a Vic Fangio, former Bears defensive coordinator. He gives the Bears so much trouble because he's so good at disguising his blitzes, and maybe even not blitzing. So I am worried about that aspect. Caleb Williams, though, continues to grow and continues to mature. You're going to see a different Caleb Williams than you did in week 1. You're going to see a different J.J. McCarthy, too, because he's only been back a week now. Obviously, he's a great quarterback again. We'll see if the Bears can rattle him. I like the Bears' chances here against the Vikings. I can't believe, Williams, that you would say you're taking the Vikings. I mean, even if you think they're going to win, take any other game. Take a San Francisco game.
We'll get there. Chris, you're a number 1 Bears hater on this podcast. What's your thoughts on this game?
I think it really is a toss-up as much as I want to say Minnesota should win. But, Minnesota hasn't played well at home. Technically, they're 1-3 in home games this year. I mean, you would think they want to be a little bit harder to beat, and they'd be a little bit more up for this divisional game. Bears offense is much better than the Vikings offense right now. but the Vikings' defense is better than the Bears' defense. Flip a coin. Goal.
Flip a coin, says Chris. That's that analysis you've come to love from the old man.
I was going to say dynamite analysis. Good job. I don't know.
One of the other teams that Chris likes to pick on, Arizona, is involved in Williams' next pick. And then, Williams, you're going back to the Shanahan well. It hasn't served you that great. We're going back.
I know. This pains me to go in the first game to go against our Lord and Savior. And now in the second game, I am going against the chosen one, Kyle Shanahan. I am going Zona +3, -102 on Caesars. But if you stay with me here, the reason why I went against the Bears was because of their defense. The reason I'm going against San Francisco here is because of their defense. The Niners D, the last 5 weeks with all the injuries, 30th in defensive EPA. They just allowed 140 yards and 2 touchdowns to the Rams backfield. And with defensive end rookie Mikael Williams off the field since he tore his ACL early in week 8, they are 27th in yards allowed before contact, and they have the league's worst success rate versus running back runs. The Niners have also allowed the 25th in receiving points given up to running backs in fantasy. Look out for Emery DeMercado, the one who dropped the ball against the Titans. He may have a get-back game here. Also, Greg Dortch might also do something here in this game. The Niners are 26th in yards allowed versus slot wide receivers. The Zona D before last week, where the offense gave up 2 touchdowns with the fumble sixes against Seattle, their D had given up point totals of 13, 22, 16, 23, 22, 31 was at Indy, 27 and 17. So 6 out of the 8 games before last week, the Zona D had actually given up 23 points or fewer in. I don't think people realize that. All of these games were either wins by Zona or losses of 4 points or less. So now we are getting 3 points at home here with Zona. No Bosa, no Warner, no Mikael Williams. Purdy is coming back for San Fran, but he might be a little rusty. We saw what Zona did to that awesome crap on this Cowboys defense all the time, but the Cowboys offense is awesome. Chris loves it. Zona shut down Cowboys offense the other week, and I think they can at least get them in the game here with San Fran. I think Zona getting 3 points at home is too many points here versus San Fran.
Jimmy, normally I would rail against this because we have a backup quarterback essentially playing for Arizona. But when that backup quarterback's Jacoby Brissett, I'm all in. Let's go. This is Arizona offense looks a little more like we almost have a situation, I think, with Arizona that's a little bit like what's playing out in Indy, where Kyler Murray is this like great athlete who has these wonderful plays that look cool on highlight reels every once in a while, but he just can't really execute the bread and butter easy stuff, right? All of a sudden, Jacoby comes in. He can execute that. Players are allowed to make plays. We're seeing a similar thing in Indy. I like this pick out of Williams. I can't believe he's picking against Shanahan, but I like it.
Yeah, I kind of like it too. We just gotta. The Cardinals have been in every single game. Their biggest loss has been 7 points. They've had a 10 point. Excuse me. Besides last week, besides the Seahawks when they lost by 22. But before that, they've been in every game, and that's with Kyler Murray as well. The Cardinals seem to have a little bit more life in them. Even that game last week, it was over, but they were still fighting hard. We do not have Marvin Harrison. He has part of his body taken out of him, as we know, as he said. So I'm a little nervous, but the 49ers don't have anybody on their team. So what do? Is Mac Jones playing? Because if Mac Jones playing, I'm in.
Seems like Purdy might be playing, but you know Shanahan's going to be tight-lipped with all that stuff. Chris, how much Call of Duty do you think Kyler Murray's playing right now with the fact that he's not actually playing NFL quarterback?
Oh, I think that's had a little bit to do with why he's not playing in the first place, because COD7 beta came out earlier, and so he's been playing the pre-release. It gets officially released, I think, tomorrow or sometime maybe this week. So he is knee-deep in it, and like I said at the beginning of the season, this is the last year we will see Kyler Murray in a Cardinal uniform, and I think that writing is on the wall.
Thank you, Chris. You reminded me of something there, and I'm really disgusted with myself that I forgot to pat myself on the back. Normally, that's one of the things that I'm quick to do. But when Jimmy brought up Brian Daboll, I should have mentioned that made one of my Giants predictions come true. We mentioned before, Jameis, if he would have come in for Russ Wilson, would they have had a chance in that game? I do believe at the beginning of the year, I predicted exactly that the Giants would pull the chain, put Jackson Dart in. Jackson Dart would get injured, and because they pulled the chain on Russell Wilson, they would ultimately start Jameis Winston for at least a game or two, and we have arrived there. And Jameis is just going to execute the offense precisely, and he's going to have fun, and he's going to play ball. That was an incredible 22-second press conference moment from my guy Jameis. Absolutely love to see it. If Jameis lights the world on fire this weekend, I'm preparing everyone now. This will be a celebration of all things Jameis Winston next week. We won't do any of the stuff we normally do. We will have a Jameis retrospective. We will try to effort people from Jameis's past. We will get them on and interview them. We will give a Jameis bio. We will talk about his charitable work. We will do all things Jameis Winston if he lights the world on fire, because I love me some Jameis Winston. Jimmy, are you prepared?
You're going to have crab legs there with your rod, real
Absolutely.
and cooked.
Absolutely. Well, no. See, that would be mean. That would be mean to Jameis if we had crab legs.
Hey, people grow and people change. And honestly, I was going to say, who has done a bigger 180 in his career than Jameis Winston? Coming in, people, he's not going to be anything, he's kind of a bad person. And now he's like the greatest guy.
Yep. Everybody loves him. Team leader. Already said he's willing to come back next year and back up Jackson Dart and help out the Giants, help the new coach.
I would too for $10 million.
Absolutely. It's the best job in the world. Wearing caps, much like all of us are wearing. I'm not going to change caps this week like I normally do when we switch shows, but we're going to switch shows here soon, but not before we update our Survivor picks and our Wins League pool. Williams, what's the Wins League at before we do Survivor?
Yeah, so we got Jimmy had 3 wins last week, so that puts him up to 29.
Let's go. Almost to 30, baby.
Yes. We had Rod had 3 wins last week, got you up to 37. I also had 3 wins last week. I got up to 41. But Chris, the big winner from last week, had 5 wins. He is now tied with me for first with 41.
Let's go. Chris Williams tied at 41, me at 37. Jimmy, little ways
I need
to
12
go.
wins this week, and I'm in first. I'm tied for first. I need 12 wins, and you guys get none.
Love that.
Bengals were my first pick.
That's true. The graybeard, though.
That's how
Chris,
bad I am. Think about that.
The graybeard's still fighting for you. You got to give that to the Bengals. They're still fighting for you. They haven't cashed it in the way that you don't want teams to. The Bengals certainly haven't done it. All right, let's go to the Survivor picks here. We got quite a thing happening at the moment. Everybody won last week. We all won the weeks before. We are all currently on streaks. We all have respawned, which is what I've landed on. We are calling it each time after our Survivor pick goes down. We have all respawned the exact amount of times on our current lives. Jimmy is 5 straight weeks on his Survivor pick, folks. 5 straight weeks. Jimmy, I hate to say it, but maybe it's the time to fade you. Maybe it's the time to fade you after 5 straight weeks. We'll find out.
Yeah, especially who I'm picking this week. The Titans are horrendous. They are not good at all.
Wow.
I don't want the Texans to win, but I'm picking the Texans to win. Davis Mills, maybe. CJ Stroud, doesn't really matter. I think the Texans beat the Titans.
I thought you were going to pick the Titans there. Look at you. Listen to Jimmy. I was on the Texans last week. It was an absolute wild ride. Prepare yourself. Have a seatbelt there at the Lazy Belt. Don't tape your remote to your chair because you're going to want to throw it and not watch that game. You're going to have to keep it there to make sure that your pick comes through. But I like it. Chris,
Hey, wait, one second, Rick. I want to double check something real quick. I want to make sure I haven't picked the Texans before, because that would be just ridiculous for someone to pick 2 teams. So
would it be?
Okay, no, I have not picked the Texans. So I am.
Would that be?
I know what this game is about.
Would that be so ridiculous that somebody would pick a team twice, Jimmy? Or would it be more ridiculous that 3 other people on the podcast with that person that know the rules of the game didn't immediately call out said chicanery? Which one?
And the fact that all 3 of us all write them all down as well. That's
for
really
somebody
bad.
whose favorite sport is golf, who plays and works at golf courses, who knows the rules of that sport as being calling fouls on yourself and keeping score yourself, would maybe keep score himself and let other people know when he has made a mistake.
Dude, you're my favorite person. I'm not.
The fact that Chris knows me so well just really works against me on this
terrific.
podcast so often. He can literally just call up anything about my life from the past 20 years and just use it against me. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Chris, how dare you?
I come prepared, Rod.
Yes, you do. Speaking of prepared, you got 3 straight wins in this current spawning of your Survivor life. Who do you got this week?
I have to do something I always rail against and tell people to be wary of, and that is a West Coast team traveling to the East Coast to play a 1 o'clock game. No. I think the Chargers are going to charger. Give me the Jags over the Los Angeles Chargers.
Jags over Chargers. Okay, all right. Chris and I are going head-to-head this week because I am absolutely San Diego Superchargers. And I'll tell you why, all right? The Chargers may charger every once in a while, but Jim Harbaugh is a professional coach. Jim Harbaugh teams rarely beat themselves. And you know what the Jacksonville Jaguars basically do all the time? Stupid stuff and beat themselves. So I'm going to go with the Chargers over the Jaguars. Chris, we're going head-to-head this week, buddy. One of us lives, one of us dies.
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, speaking of build-up, Williams, 2 straight wins. You're on 2 straight wins. You have the most recent respawning of any of us, but you are on 2 straight wins. Who do you got this week?
That's the first time anybody's went head-to-head for Survivor here, so that'll be fun. I'm going with Chris's team. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys off a bye. My history of picking Monday night games is horrific, so hopefully I didn't just jinx Chris's team. But I think the Raiders are pathetic, and give me the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night.
No, Williams, didn't I go against you? Didn't I pick some absolutely terrible team to fire up and come out and beat somebody that you picked, and I was just dead wrong? They just were done in the second quarter.
That's right.
Like the Dolphins or the Jets.
Yeah, it was Browns Dolphins. That's right.
Yeah.
So this will be the second time Rod has went head to head. So
and it didn't work out well for me the first time. So Chris, apparently you are going to continue in the Survivor pool, and I am down. You know what else is going to continue though? This podcast. We're going to run a little NBA fast break, and then we're going to talk some wrestling. All right, Williams, thank you so much for all of the football handicap work, my friend. We will see you back here next week when we talk football. Jimmy Jam, the pod is yours.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead, Chris. We only do it every week. It's fine.
Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
I'm glad we're not live this week because I forgot to switch it back to when we were live. So I'm glad we're not live because that would be ridiculous.
Wouldn't it be?
Welcome to Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. Jimmy, Rod, and Chris are here. Gentlemen, I have a question for you, an opening question. We are all fans of the NBA, and there's a lot of media in the NBA. I'm not going to go as far as to say we are part of the NBA media for sure, but
not yet.
Let's come
someday.
To a consensus.
With your help, listeners.
Someday. I think we need to come to a consensus of when do we actually start to worry or get excited about our teams. After 1 game, people want to jump off bridges. After 5 games, people think you should fire the entire staff. When, in our rational minds, is the season what it is? Is it 20 games? Is it 25 games? Are we right? Is it 1 game? Does every game matter? Chris, you are the most conspiratorial person I know. I'm going to go to you first because I can't wait to hear. When should we be worried about our team? What game threshold here?
And listen, it isn't just 1. But it doesn't have to be 20 or 30 or 40 either. You have to pay attention to the trends, all right? Here's a trend. 1 in 10, 1 in 11. That's a trend. Maybe you get a little worried. 7 and 5, 6 and 5, right? Time will tell. Are you dealing with excess injuries at the beginning of the year that you know people are coming back from? Or are you completely healthy and people are overperforming? I think you have to pay attention to those types of trends. But once you get to the All-Star break, you pretty much know, with maybe a few exceptions.
What just wait a minute. What just happened there? Did he just answer your question?
So wait, I was yeah, go ahead, Rod. Go yell at him.
Did he just answer your question? Because I don't think he answered your question at all. I think
no, he answered it 6 different ways.
Yeah, they brought up the All-Star break. We're not even at Thanksgiving
Well, yeah,
yet.
he's like, you can look at the trends. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to ask him about this. Okay, trends 1 and 9, 10, okay. And then, but it's after the All-Star break. So is it after the All-Star break? Is it trends, Chris? What's going on?
It's trends, Jimmy. Trends.
Why I love this question, Jimmy James, is because you've hit on something absolutely spot on here, right? We're all starved, right? We're in the desert just wanting basketball content. So opening night, we're excited. First couple of games, we're excited. Then we think, okay, we can't make any weird proclamations after just a couple of games. It has to be 4 or 5 games, right? So then we get all excited, 5-6 games in, teams are 5-1, teams are 6-0. We're like, oh, look at them. And then all of a sudden, 4 games later, we're like, small sample size. You know what I mean? It's like, well, wait a minute. 4 games ago, you were ready to burn the whole thing down. And I think what it absolutely has to do with is just the beginning of the season, Jimmy. I think any other time you would pull out this sort of time span from the season, you wouldn't see people as agitated about it, right? Unless maybe it was at the end of the year, but there's so many teams that aren't really playing for anything at the end of the year that so many games fall flat. So I think the anticipation that you're talking about that so many people seem to be using for their content creation right now has more to do with the fact that it's early season than it actually does. They believe that any span of games actually says anything. That's my answer, that I don't think anybody believes any span of games actually says anything. I think what people believe is the numbers over a span of time will ultimately even themselves out, right? Because that's what you hear out of these guys so often, right? When they talk about a 15-game span where a team's shooting this well, what do they always say? Oh, well, we know that's going to come back, right? So basically what I think people are saying is they all believe basketball is going to be played somewhere here. No matter if a team's above it or below it, they always think somebody's going to come back to here.
Well, it's also during the course of a game, any NBA game, there'll be a team that's up 15 to 20 points, but in the next 10 minutes, that's going to get down to 7, and that might flip in the next quarter, things like that. So it does go through. What I'm thinking here is you've got to look at the different. You've got tiers. Okay, the first 10 games. If you have 1 win in the first 10 games, the amount that you have to get back to get to that top 8 is so much that it's going to take another 20 games. So you're looking at 30 games already before you even have a shot to smell the play-in game, right? So I think if you're in that first 10 games, you have 1 win, you're in trouble, okay? It doesn't mean if you have 10 wins that you're great, okay? But you need to look at that. So I really think there's a 20-25 game, about a third of the season that you really then can go from there to see what's going on next, okay? That being said, let's talk about some trends, okay? Let's talk about our Dallas Mavericks.
Our Dallas Mavericks. That's
are 3-9, and the fire Nico chants have finally come to fruition. Nico Harrison fired. And the trends that we're seeing in the media is everyone has to trade. We have to trade AD. Gotta go. Okay? We've got to rebuild everything. Rod, what position did Nico Harrison play on the Mavericks?
That's an excellent point.
I don't get it. They're 3-9, not off to a great start. I wonder why they're not off to a great start. They got an 18-year-old kid, very talented, playing position he's literally never played before, okay, as in point guard. They have their 2 $50 million athletes not on the court. One won't be on the court probably all year. And the other's Kyrie Irving. No, one won't be on the court all year. And AD, you never really know. So we went from they're okay, let's wait, but then you fire the GM and you got to blow everything up. I don't understand that trend, Rod.
See, I love that you're just your big picture and everything on the NBA season already here. And I love it. And you're absolutely right. The other problem with the NBA content world out there, and listen, I live in so much of it. Love the Hoop Collective. Love Zach Lowe. Love Bill Simmons. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Love the guys from No Dunks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out there in these streets. I'm listening,
Love right.
Everything is, what are we going to do this offseason? What is it going to look like 2 years from now? What will this offense end up playing together like when this team contends? Like, well, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, not every team is going to contend. Not every team is going to be able to make the exact perfect plan. And then, like, the other thing you hear out of these people all the time is, well, I mean, they should try to trade back, or they got to find this certain type of person. Well, guess what? Every other team is thinking the same exact thing. So if every team wants to just trade back, we're going to start living in a world where nobody ever wants to make a draft pick. Everybody wants to just prove how smart they are by, like, moving and wiggling around and, like, moves on the periphery. And what you get, Jimmy, is a world where GMs make moves to not get fired. Right? They make moves to not get fired. And that's why it was so amazing what Nico Harrison did. I heard Chuck Klosterman on the BS report the other day, Zag here, and I got to give him compliments for it. What Nico tried to do was revolutionary. It blew up in his face, but it was revolutionary. We absolutely do not see NBA, MLB, NFL decision makers with stones to make decisions like this. This guy knew full well that the asset he had was an all NBA 25, 26-year-old all-world talent. And he said, I don't care. I don't think this guy's good enough to get me to the promised land. I'm going to try something drastically different. Boom, exploded in his face. He got fired in less than 10 months. But kudos to you, Nico Harrison. You did something you believed in, and you got everybody on board, and you looked like you were the king of a crumbling world for a while, and then that crumbling world just piled up on top of you.
Chris, how long can it be until Nico Harrison becomes a member of the Los Angeles Lakers franchise where you don't think it's a conspiracy?
There's a conspiracy, but I don't think it involves with Nico Harrison being involved in the NBA anymore.
Okay.
I mean, this is, okay, I got to warn you guys and the listeners out there, this is a Wu-Tang level conspiracy, all right?
Well, now, wait, we got to be careful what we say. We're still kind of a family. No, go ahead.
I'm just saying that it may be a little bit out there, but I think there has been a trend up until essentially this year where NBA viewership, and a little bit, it started increasing last year too. I won't take away from last year. There was a trend of NBA viewership going down consistent 2010. What was happening during that time frame is the best players in the NBA were ending up in these small market teams. Giannis in Milwaukee, Jokic in Denver, right? Luka in Dallas to a lesser extent, not a big major market for basketball. And so even with people like LeBron in LA, it still wasn't driving that viewership. So what do? Well, you maybe get a plant. You know, you find out this guy who wants casinos in Texas decides to buy the Mavericks and is willing to wheel and deal a little bit with the NBA to get some things moving in the right direction. So what happens? He hires the person the NBA wants him to hire, a guy who's never been any type of managerial position for a basketball organization, and Nico Harrison. And Nico ends up doing what the NBA wants. And hey, let's get one of these all NBA young guys into a major market like Luka to LA. And who's willing to do that? A guy that plays ball like Nico Harrison.
Okay. So, problem with conspiracies is you have to see the ramifications of why. Because the Lakers are always going to be, and always have been, the number one lead in every story every year. Even when they're bad. It's even better if they're bad, honestly.
Since that trade, viewership in NBA games as a whole have gone up consistently. The trend has reversed. That's the for lack of a turn of the evidence in this conspiracy.
So since that day, the next day, it started to grow, and it hasn't gone down at all, or was it a trend?
Would it be a conspiracy if there weren't holes in the story, Jimmy?
Thank you.
Or did it have to do with the fact that the trade happened last year, and then after the trade, we went into the latter part of the season and the playoffs? Of course, NBA viewership went up in the playoffs. Is that maybe a play?
And the playoffs are great. Yeah, listen, the playoffs were really good as well.
I can't wrap my head around why ownership didn't know last year at the end of the season what they now know definitively now, 10 games into the year.
No, we know.
Right?
We know. Patrick Dumont just needed to sit courtside, and he needed to sit next to the Luka Doncic jersey guy. All right? We just know. If Patrick Dumont would have been at more Mavericks games and he would have sat courtside next to Lakers jersey guy, things would have been solved, because Patrick Dumont sat down with this 19-year-old who apologized to him for flipping him the bird. Next thing you know, Nico's finally cleaning out his office, Chris. I think the children are our future, is what I'm saying to you.
Isn't it strange that you come in and you buy a team and you really don't know much? In his press conference, he mentioned how Shaq was such a great work ethic guy or whatever, which we'll never forget, right?
We all love her. But he's a real lunch pail guy.
You don't know much, and you literally give away the biggest asset that you have, and one of the probably top 2 or 3, let's even say 5 assets in the entire league, let alone all of sport. Let's be honest here. It's fascinating, but he did realize he made the mistake. So I guess that's a good thing. Enough of this conspiracy stuff.
No, real quick, Jimmy, here's the last kicker that gets me. Here's the last kicker you get me. So the following on what you said, you have this asset, you trade him out of town. Not only do you trade him out of town, but then you let it leak that you traded him out of town because you know what? This guy likes to hit his hookah. This guy likes to drink his beer. This guy likes to be a little overweight. This guy's hurt all the time. Will he be on the floor? Hey, here's our answer, Anthony Davis. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, absolutely, what are we doing if you're saying that the guy you don't want to pay to lead your franchise because he can't get out on the court, and then you're like, here's our shining example of health, Anthony Davis.
Well, and did they shop him around? Have any stories came out about them shopping him around? Because I bet you if they did, they would have had better offers than Anthony Davis.
100%. 100% they would have had better offers. And again, it's coming in and not knowing that Anthony Davis, great player when he's playing, hasn't played much.
It's like 10 games, I think I heard, since the Mavericks traded for him, something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So enough of this negativity. I want to go.
We have to.
You know what, Jimmy? It is Rod Damnation, but it actually is sort of positive this week. All right. Because my Rod Damnation goes to 29 NBA franchises. All right. And it goes to 29 NBA franchises because they allowed the Toronto Raptors of Canada to have the coolest idea I have ever heard of in my entire life. Have you gentlemen heard of the Cobra Staff? Do either of you know what I mean when I say the Cobra Staff? See, this is exactly what I mean.
No.
The Cobra Staff is a post-game prize given to a Raptors player who embodies the Cobra mentality on the defensive end. Head coach Darko Rajakovic and his staff emphasize that they want players to have a Cobra mentality rather than a woodpecker mentality. The idea is that a Cobra waits for the right moment, is calculated, and then strikes decisively on defense. The actual award is a physical staff adorned with a Cobra head with the winning player gets to pose with in the locker room, okay? And in addition to the Cobra staff, the win the day chain is given to the player who had the best all-around game or exemplified the team's motto. So every game the Raptors finish, someone is awarded the Cobra staff and someone is awarded the win the day chain. Other 29 NBA teams, namely United States teams, you're on notice. Get a Cobra staff. Rod Damnation to all of you.
This thing looks amazing. I'm trying to pull it up right now. It's just like the sack chain or the trident that the Seattle Mariners use. Baseball's a sport. They use a round ball to throw. Anyway,
Oh, yeah. I've heard of it.
I think that's a really good idea, Chris.
Everybody needs something to get behind to drive them to further that excellence. So yeah, more power to them.
Second time he's
trying
used that.
to get. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it is it looks like Serpentor from G.I. Joe.
Nice.
You know, it really does. That's hey,
good reference.
don't mess with my G.I. Joe knowledge. Thank you very much. But you can, man. You can. Oh, it's a good time that we have here on the More You Know Podcasting Network. This is Balls and Brew, the fast break. And guess what time it is, Chris? It is time for the Kings, hopefully, Hardwood Hierarchy.
They've finally lost, right? They finally lost one game, but they're still the king, all right? They've only lost one game. They're still the best record in the NBA. They're still the defending champs. They still look like they're a beast, whoever they play. So OKC, still the king. We do have a new queen, a new team to the hierarchy. All right? They have won 8 in a row. They won the other night against the Bulls team that probably should have won this game, but the Detroit Pistons will be your
Shout
queen
out
this
Father
week.
Pete.
Yeah, he'll be happy to hear
He's
that.
got to be very happy.
And then with the second best streak going on right now, and a team that looks like they could be right there with OKC in the Western Conference Finals, the Denver Nuggets. They've won 6 in a row. Jokic looks like he is as good as ever, somehow improving.
What gave you that idea, Chris? The fact that he got 55, a double nickel the other night? Is that what gave you the idea that Jokic is balling right now?
I mean, that's just one point in a whole set of data there, Rod. All right? Yeah. So there you go. You have the Thunder, the Pistons, and the Nuggets.
Dude, I was watching that game because I love to flip around League Pass, and I saw Jokic had 25 in the first quarter, and I was like, what? Like, Jokic is so an unassuming scorer, right? That you just expect him to hit every shot that he takes, but he doesn't look fancy at all when he takes his shots. So I was like, Jokic has 25, and he's only missed 2 shots? This guy's ridiculous.
And it's so, yeah, it's like quiet, right? All of a sudden you blink, and he's got like 4 more assists and 10 more points.
Oh, it's just ridiculous, man. Like, I think the Nuggets are going to give the Thunder everything they want. The Thunder are just, like Chris, you were talking about, like every team in the NBA is down by 10 at some point except the Thunder. It
right?
seems like the Thunder are never down by that many.
No. at most, like it seems like maybe 3, and then they're right back on top of you by 7. All right. There were plenty.
I think what we've got going on with the higher. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was excited. I thought you were getting to the Jester.
I am, because there are a lot of teams that could have been the Jester this week. All right, because I thought about the Grizzlies.
That's what actually I was going to say. It's like a battle for the bottom is what we're at with the Hardwood hierarchy right now. We know OKC is going to be at the top. It's a battle for the bottom.
The Grizzlies were fighting. They had a strong case to be the Jester. The Pacers have a strong case to be the Jester.
Oh no, Dax!
All right?
Say it ain't so, Dax.
But there's a team out there, Rod, and I kind of hate to do this, but let me run down their last 4 games and kind of what they've lost by, all right? 33 points, 14, 27, and 31. All right? That's just their last 4 games. That's the Sacramento Kings.
It is bad.
And that's why I've been trying to light that beam for the last few years, but man, it's just sad to see. And it doesn't even look like they're out there trying.
I only have one thing to say to the Sacramento Kings. How did you not look at the Chicago Bulls of 2 years ago and be like, I don't want any part of that? And they're like, no, you know what? We can bring in DeMar, we can bring in Zach. It'll be just fine. Bring him over here with Domas, who's not really that great at offense anyway. It's going to be a wonderful mix here in Sacramento. And you know what else we need? Russ and Dennis Schroeder. Just like the grossest collection of basketball talent ever assembled. No offense to any of those guys, because like individually, some of them would be good players, but like, together on the Kings with Doug Christie as the coach and Vivek Ranadive putting his hands in everything. It's just ugly out there.
Let's get rid of our all-NBA point guard.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
The Kings are so bad, they would have the 5th or 6th pick right now in the next draft. They're so bad that they're even worse than the teams above them. We have 3 one-win teams, Chris, and 2 of them have not been the Jester yet, but yet you put the Kings there because they're the Kings, and we all know they're going to end up with AD somehow. There's no question about it.
AD wearing goggles at 34 years old, the Sacramento Kings jersey. You're absolutely right, Jimmy. That's definitely what we have ahead of us.
Listen,
all right, we're going to get out of here.
All Kentucky players end up in Sacramento, all right? I think that's what happens.
I knew Chris was going to go Kentucky. I knew it.
I wanted to talk about the NBA Cup, but then I looked at the standings, and the Wizards right now are in 3rd place in East Group A, and they haven't played a game yet. So we're not going to talk about the NBA Cup right now. The courts, some of them are crazy. That lime green court, I still can't get that out of my head.
That was fun, though, when people would like transpose stuff playing underneath the game. That was fun when you see those, though, with the green court.
With that, you've been listening to The Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. Coming up next, it's the Yeah We Know podcast.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morganos podcasting network. In the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod. And there is some huge news that we have. And Rod, I just have a question for you. Do you believe?
I wondered. You know that I saw this. You know I have all alerts up on X for my guy. Any info that goes down, I know about. Like I saw the American Pie tribute the other day. Chelsea got pied.
Unbelievable song, by the way.
Phenomenal.
Terrific song.
Just phenomenal. Everything about Joe Henry is phenomenal. Hey, Sean Ross Sapp is tough for me, and that seems to be where the reports are first emanating from. So I have to question it a tad bit, but I'm excited because I always believe. Say his name.
There's a couple of reports coming out that he has, and honestly, it was kind of a foregone. Chris, you can take a nap. It was a foregone conclusion that he was going to sign when they brought him into NXT TNA relationship. He was at WrestleMania. He was at the Rumble. And Chris, I'm sorry, you can come back in now. I think he's one of the 2 people in the John Cena tournament and one of the surprise entries. What do you think?
Let's go.
If he ends up being the one that fights LA Knight, do you anticipate him winning that match or losing to LA Knight?
So, okay, let's get rumor. We don't do too many rumors here, but let's get rumors and everything going here, okay? Apparently LA Knight's in trouble because he grabbed a sign that says, "We want LA Knight," and showed it on the screen a few weeks back. Apparently he's in trouble for that.
People don't like that.
They shut him down early on his promo. He was upset about that. He was going to be in the War Games match, apparently. He's out of that now. He's fought with the Vision for the past 2 months, and now nothing.
Jimmy,
if he's in that match, he's beating LA Knight, but I don't think he's going to be in the match.
Jimmy, it's essentially what we hear got Karrion Kross maybe a little bit on the bad side and ultimately sort of shown the door, right? Like the one thing they don't like around there is they don't want you encouraging the fans who are hijacking their segments. They don't want that, right? They want you to perform well enough to have those fans do that, but they don't want you to encourage them to hijack the show, right? Like the WWE wants fans to be boisterous and do chants, but they really don't like when fans are doing chants that absolutely aren't related to the things that they're trying to get across on camera at that moment. So if you're talent and you're doing something like that, you have to know repercussions are coming. And it bums me out because we love LA Knight on this podcast. We've sang his praises for a long time. Jimmy, you warned us when he first came in as Max Dupree that this guy was a heck of a lot more than just that, and he has shown us that. But he seems to be one of those guys, Jimmy, that's not going to be shown the top of the step, right? He's just going to be one of those guys who's like, hey, hang out backstage here with us. We need you doing some important things every once in a while, but you're not really a top step guy.
Yeah, he's one of those, you can be in the main event, but you're not the main event type person. And that's why this John Cena tournament would have been huge for him and still can be huge. Listen, we don't know what's going on. We have no idea. The fact he got cut off in mid-promo, either that was literally just a mistake or it's part of something that I don't think that was done intentionally just to tick him off and not do anything else, okay? But this would have been a big thing for him to win that or to go and even face John Cena, even if he loses to John Cena in that. That's fine too. I don't think it's going to be Joe Hendry against LA Knight, though. I really don't. I think it might be Joe Hendry against Solo Sikoa. It could be for sure. They want you to think it's either Jericho or Edge. It's not going to be Edge. He's under contract. He's shooting a movie. It's not Edge. Jericho, I think, is coming to WWE, but I don't think his contract is up until December-ish, so I think he's more of a Royal Rumble type person, okay? Somebody, though, I do think might be a second mystery opponent.
Batista?
What about... No. What about Karrion Kross? Do they bring Karrion Kross back in? What about Karrion Kross? I'm just asking questions, Chris.
My mind just blew. Look at you.
Yeah. Against Solo or against LA?
I could see him against LA Knight. I definitely could.
I could also see them doing a storyline without a belt being involved and me still being highly motivated to watch that. I think you could do a good rivalry there. I think both of them are good on the mic, and that could be fun to watch. I think they'd have a real good match.
Rod, what are your thoughts about having a tournament that has no brackets and surprise people even after they've been picked? Thoughts?
We play fast and loose with the rules in so many different ways here in WWE world, so why not this? Well, what I do love about this, Jim, and I think we almost sort of buried the lead here. This tournament now not only makes you John
No, the
Cena's...
lead was Joe Hendry signs with WWE. The second story, go right ahead.
All right. This tournament now, I guess Cena could retire with the Intercontinental Championship, but it sure seems to me right now what we have just set up is whoever gets to John Cena in the finals gets to retire John Cena and now become the Intercontinental Championship. Jimmy, I say so often that I love being reminded why I love professional wrestling, and I know you've got to feel this 10 times more than me because you've been around many more years than I have. When they can do something that you don't see coming and it's good, right? It's not the thing you didn't see coming that absolutely squashes a match or screws somebody or disqualifies somebody. It's the thing that makes you smile. I absolutely lost my mind when they said John Cena was taking on Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship, because for weeks I'd talked to you guys about how are they finally taking off the belt, and this was the perfect scenario to take the belt off of Dom Mysterio, make Cena a Grand Slam champion, which how in the hell wasn't he a Grand Slam champion already? But that's a story for another time. But Jimmy, now you win this tournament, you beat John Cena, and you're the Intercontinental Championship. Really good chance to launch somebody.
Chris, what do you think about that?
I have a lot of thoughts. Let me start off here, all right?
You're so angry, and I love it.
If the WWE is going to take our ideas and try to make them their own, they should at least give us a little bit of a shout out or something, right? Like say, hey, listen to Yeah We Know. They're a good podcast, because I believe we just talked about how great, just a week or two ago about how great it would have been if Cena had a belt on him right now going into this tournament for his final match, how much better it would be. kudos on them for being able to figure out a way to do it in a great way and a fantastic match too. All right. But, give us our kudos. All right. We know you listen. We know you take these ideas, but give us a little bit of shout out.
It was a very eventful Raw, wasn't it? It had 2 title changes for the first time in, I think, forever. I thought that was pretty cool.
Do we have to talk about the second change? Do we?
No, we don't. So John Cena, it was funny because he's never been a Grand Slam champion because he was always world champion. So you never had to worry about that. And then when he kind of got a little stale, they threw that U.S. title and did the U.S. Open Challenge, which just catapulted that title so far up, which they're kind of still doing that now with Dragunov and not Ciampa asses. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. I like the fact that they wrestled. Now, this was originally scheduled, I think, for Survivor Series in San Diego, but they moved it up. So John Cena now, he has the opportunity to either maybe lose it to Dom again. Dom gets it back. Or they go and whoever wins this is also the IC champ. Don't really need
is
that
Dom
there,
the
but
guy
again,
that could be in one of these matches?
He could be for sure. He could be in there. We all know that Gunther is back, and he is going to be in one of these matches as well. We had Damian Priest and Rusev wrestle, and Rusev actually got a... Am I reading that right, Rod? Did Rusev win?
I know. I was surprised myself. I was really surprised myself. I was like, okay, go ahead, Rusev.
I think that's somebody who could get a couple wins in this tournament. He's not going to the finals, but I think he could get a couple wins. Sheamus and Nakamura. I'd love to see Nakamura win that, and Nakamura is not going to Japan either. But it's Sheamus got the win there, so it's Sheamus and Rusev. I think, right? Is Sheamus and Rusev wrestling each other?
I would imagine.
Haven't seen bracket yet.
Yeah, why not? Why not go with those guys again?
Yeah, that'll be another knockdown drag out that I think Rusev's going to win. This is going to be a fun tournament. I wouldn't rule out Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder, as somebody also that could be a surprise entry in the tournament as well.
Matt Cardona doesn't mind.
No, not at all. And you know what? He's done a great job on the Indies. He's an amazing.
Isn't that the king of the Indies? Supposedly,
he's the king of the Indies. His wife right now, Chelsea Green. Can we just say Chelsea Green? I've never been creamed on like that before.
She elevates anything she does. She elevates anything she does.
And Joe Hendry. God bless him with that song.
Say his name.
Oh, my goodness.
Say his name. Hey, you know what, though, Chris? I don't want you to be too bummed out about your guy, Dom, because here's the thing about professional wrestling, Chris, and I bet you thought of this. I bet you thought of this at one point. Dom got to be in the ring to start off John Cena's final Raw with John Cena and Triple H. All right? Things are going just fine for old Dom Mysterio, okay? You going to be somebody in that ring with those two guys getting that kind of an absolute pop? And what a match, dude. Dom is he's so old school. He can bring about old school heel behavior almost better than anybody else, man. I love Dom. I get sick with how much you guys glaze him, to use a term that the youngsters use these days, Chris, but I do love Dom.
He's a
Dom
genius.
Is awesome. Yeah.
And he's still got gold around his waist, Rod. Dom's okay.
AAA.
He's still got gold around his waist, right? He's going to get his. He doesn't go around without gold very often. Think about since he's went on his own and got rid of his deadbeat dad, he's had gold around his waist more than he hasn't.
Chris, if you believe WWE lore, his father passed away many years ago.
No, I watched that match, all right? Ray won that match. Eddie is not the father. That is correct. I'm still saying, guys, book it. Hair versus mask versus hair at WrestleMania this year. It will be this year for sure. They have to do it this year at WrestleMania, and I think it'll be.
That's what it took me from that moment when it happened, Jimmy. It still has power. People still care, right? People still love Rey Mysterio enough. It still gave people the pop. You know what I mean? It's still the guy who, okay, it makes sense for Rey to come out and try to check him. I'm for it.
So I have a vision, and that vision includes Logan Paul. Logan Paul's in the vision, right?
Is he?
I don't know. He's on their War Games team. I know that.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I love the War Games format, but I'm lukewarm on War Games this year, big time. Rhea coming back with the face mask. Rhea's got to stop breaking her nose. Can Rhea stop breaking her nose? Can that happen somehow, please? But I don't know, man. And Charlotte and here's my thing. Fine. We'll talk about the second belt changeover. Fine. All right. I'll talk about Charlotte and Alexa losing the belt. Okay. You want Asuka and Kairi Sane to take the belts from Charlotte and Alexa? Absolutely fine, okay? You want Lash Legend to get involved with Nia Jax and be like a powerhouse team, fine. What I question is why all three of those things have to be mixed together for the ending of that match. Why do Lash Legend and Nia Jax ultimately want Kyrie and Asuka to have the belts? Like, I get they want to screw Charlotte and Alexa, but why do they care? So, and then they sit back and help them win the match. And like, it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't like it. Like, fine, you got to make this War Games match. You got to try to build up Lash Legend. You got to give Asuka something after this build that we've had with her for a couple of weeks, but I didn't like it, Jim.
Well, and right now it's 4 versus 4, and it's usually 5-on-5. So I think we might get an AJ Lee, Becky Lynch put in this as well, and I know you're still lukewarm on that. It seemed like they wanted to do 4 or 5 weeks of storylines into one match, and having Lash Legend and Nia Jax together, I like that combo. I do. I think that's a good combo, kind of like the Twin Towers from back in the day, Natural Disasters back in the day, even a Powers of Pain. I mean, really good teams, look different than everybody else, strong. I mean, they can really take care of stuff. I like that a lot.
AOP, Authors of Pain, you were thought of. AOP, Authors of Pain, you were thought of.
I love you. I was thinking old school Powers of Pain, Barbarian Warlord. Thank you.
No, I know, but I'm just saying
AOP
bigger.
AOP as well. Yeah, AOP as well is actually really good. A good thing there. Chris, I'm interested in your opinion on this. The Rhea, Io, Alexa, Charlotte pairing there. Are you buying that at all, or do we just think we're doing War Games for War Games? Because I think we're just doing War Games for War Games' sake.
They're definitely doing War Games for War Games' sake, but I like every single person in that group, and I will root for them, so put them all on a team, and it's like the Super Friends unite for me, so I'll watch them beat up anybody.
Wait a minute.
I like Charlotte.
Wait a minute.
I like Alexa. I like Rhea. I like Io. Why wouldn't I root for them? But I do think they're doing War Games for War Games.
Has Chris always been on the Charlotte train, Jimmy, or is this like, did we just have breaking news where Chris decided that he's finally...
This is strictly because of this work with Alexa Bliss has turned me into a Charlotte Flair fan, all right? The Alexa Bliss aura goes out so wide and it catches everybody who's her tag team partner, which happens to be Charlotte Flair.
I'm amazed by this because I sat here on Charlotte Flair Island, right? We were incurring hurricane weather, right? Real estate was being sold left and right. I'm just holding on, right? I'm holding on, right? I got my little hot dog stand permit. I'm ready. I'm ready to be right there, island front property, when everybody comes back. And, oh, here we are. It's beautiful on Charlotte Island. All of a sudden, there's all these people that are cheering for Charlotte like they always cheered for Charlotte before. No, you didn't. I was here. I suffered through the hard times. And now she's this, and you take the belt from her. And not only you take the belt from her, but you squash her in a face match where Rhea Ripley and Io Sky get to jump in now as the two big crowd favorites. Man, Jimmy, I'm so disappointed what they did to my...
Let's talk about the men's War Game match next week when we'll have a little bit more time for the Yeah We Know podcast next week. We went a little long with the other two shows today, and we got a couple guys that need to get up early. But I do want to say, I think this Monday Night Raw, you're going to see some big stuff because it's Madison Square Garden.
That's true.
It is going to be... we're gonna get the War Games filled out pretty big here, I think, for the men's side. And honestly, if you really think about it, this is the most we're just doing it to do it, because if you really think about it, it should be the Wyatts and MFT in the War Games. It really should be, because they're going at it. I mean, that's the War Games match, and it would actually make that feud even more interesting. But we're not gonna waste the War Games on the Wyatts and MFT.
On Talatonga. Talatonga doesn't get a fight in the War Games match.
All right, we're going to get a lot. Like I said, next week we'll get into a lot more, but we got to get going this week. Really appreciate everyone listening. Thank you so much. Hey, quit. Keep subscribing, get on those TikToks, get on those Instagrams, Facebooks, all that good stuff. And with that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Knows podcast network. In the Ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod.
Jimmy, you got to talk to the host of that football show, man. He's really letting things get out of control on there and scorching into your time on basketball and wrestling. You got to talk to that guy. He's out of control. Talks too much.
It's tough because, listen, we have fun here. We talk about everything, but we also have to go to bed at some point.
Yeah. I also saw Drew McIntyre wearing white. Good guys wear white. Goodbye, net. Yeah.
Not in the WWE, Chris. We've told you this. Good guys good guys don't wear white in the WWE. Bad guys wear white.
Good guy got suspended indefinitely for wearing white.
Yeah. How many times, Chris?
not a heel.
He's shooting a movie.